So this video is about the DJI FPV combo, how it compares to our normal quads. If you're straight after that comparison between it and a real race quad, since I know some of the DJI marketing was aimed towards racing, check the video description. Check the video description for the timestamp.
Timestamp, that's right, yes.
Yeah, long story short, no, it doesn't compete against the real race quad. No, it's not a racing drone. However, if you actually watch it for what it is and keep in mind all the tech it's got in it, it's actually really impressive, which we'll get more into now.
So I suppose this video is more about us discussing about what you've learnt over the last 4 weeks of using, or what we've both learnt about using the quad over the last 4 weeks, because we've both been flying it, haven't we?
The irony is I've actually been using it quite a bit. I say quite a bit, like at least once a week I've taken it out and used a full battery, which is pretty impressive.
In comparison to my DJI Mavic, now we've actually purchased the DJI Mavic ourselves. This we didn't purchase.
That was when it came out?
That was when it first came out. This is the first version of it. How much flight time do you think you've actually got on the DJI Mavic?
Probably about a minute.
I think you're exaggerating. It's probably way less than that.
I reckon it'd be a minute. With me like working out what the controls do and stuff.
But you don't actually mind flying this thing. And you've used it for chasing all sorts of aircraft and everything, haven't you?
I think with the Mavic, if I ever had to make videos completely on my own, I would probably learn how to use it so I could get those real cinematic shots that you just can't achieve any other way. But at the end of the day, I've got you there. So why would I bother? Jumping into what this sort of symbolizes, I think a lot of it we did end up getting right in the first review. You've probably already seen all the stuff people saying about these being not durable and being really breakable, which is 100% true. These aren't a durable thing at all. These are like a car. You don't drive your car and go bumping into things, crashing into walls and stuff. And I mean,
you can do that, can't you? You can go on a racetrack and race your car. You just got to be prepared
that you might break
out thousands upon thousands of dollars. And this is in the same category, isn't it? Really,
very much. This is more of a flying camera than it is a racing drone as we know it. We've actually, I mean, for me, coming from a fixed wing background, we're already, I think, pretty used to the idea of you don't crash your stuff, and we've sort of slowly gotten used to the fact that, there's certain risks you can take with like pretty much no repercussions, right? And you see that with our race drones are built more durable, but that's sort of not the background we come from. So for us, this is perfectly acceptable to us. As a camera system, it's fine. You know, I'm using it heaps for chasing planes. It's one of those things, you know, when people talk about in photography where the best camera you've got is the one that's on you, it's very much a case of that with this, I think, where we just take it with us. It's always got one battery charged, and then, you know, someone will be flying some EDF. You know, that's what happened last time. Someone flew an F-16 EDF, and they said, "Did you want to chase it?"
So one pack, one charge. So we've only got one battery for this guy, which is a bit of a pain. So you only get one flight, and once we put it on charge, we don't generally tend to fly it again, do we? Because it takes a while to charge.
That is one thing we've actually found. If you're doing really high speed stuff, especially because the EDF was consistently towards sort of the limits of this thing's top speed when the F-16 was cruising, the battery also hits its C limit, and then you have to wait for the battery to cool down for you to actually get full power again.
Charging seems to be a bit slower.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the same thing that we deal with our normal quads. It's just that obviously the chemistry in this is built more for milliamp hours than for discharge.
Okay, as far as videos, I would probably recommend people watching. Obviously, Bruce's ones are really good. The irony is Bruce's first video he did on the DJI FPV combo was right on the money, and he hadn't even flown it yet. Yeah. Which is ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's been in it long enough now to know what things are.
Yeah, and I think he doesn't look at things purely from his own perspective in terms of what's right for him. I mean, like, would you have purchased this drone? I don't think we would have ever purchased the drone.
No.
For what we would use it for, I don't think we would have actually forked out the $2,000 or whatever it's worth, I think it is.
No. However, now that I've got one, if I ever broke this, I probably would. This is our first one, by the way. Some people said that how many did we go through to do our videos? We haven't gone through any.
If we broke one of these, if we broke that one, I'd probably take it in for repair and be prepared to pay for it. Yeah. Because it is actually a worthwhile platform. Now, the other video... For us, that's right. Now, the other video that's really worthwhile checking out is the one iPhonedo did. It's really sort of epitomizes where this drone comes into it. The guy's a fan of Mr. Steel. Obviously can't fly like Mr. Steel, but you can see in this first video, he actually goes from not being able to fly in full manual mode to being able to fly in full manual mode. And just the joy and excitement, I think, pretty much sums up what this drone's all about. And I think you'll have people like him now who've had a taste of flying manual mode thinking, I wouldn't mind getting a Mr. Steel Apex,
or something
you know, and moving down that path, because now he would know for sure he can. Whether he chooses to do that or not, I don't know.
A lot of those people, it's a matter of they don't have the time to build, or even getting them ready to fly and learning how to set up a Tyrannus and make that all work and all that. The DJI stuff does, once you've got it updated, if you can get past the updating stuff, which a lot of those guys are pretty comfortable with, because that is their thing, all of a sudden it's an entry point for them into the hobby, which has been a real common thing. There have been a few people I've been speaking to sort of in private where, you know, they don't have time to do to sort of put towards learning what we do, but this has been the stepping stone to sort of bring them into it slowly. And as long as you take it methodically, like anything else, you'll get through fine. I had a comment on my video about it, my first video on my little channel, where someone wanted us to do a full walkthrough. I reckon what iPhonedo did was really good, so I'd love to sort of try and mirror that on our channel eventually. I'm not sure if we'll get around to it because that's a pretty serious video series we're talking about making, but it would be a really good guide. So here are some of the points that we've sort of taken notice of over time. If you want to see any of these sort of written up, it's in my little video.
I might copy and paste your description that you had in your video straight into this one.
Yeah, I'd say our perspective pretty much hasn't changed from then. I mean, we did do a fair bit of testing in that week, so as much as there is more latency than the normal analog stuff that I fly, it's sort of, as a complete package, the way they've got it set up, you almost forget it while you're flying, which is really weird. Like, unless you're on a racetrack trying to race it, which you can see in my video, me trying to do that, it sort of doesn't really get in the way. You actually just find, I mean, you know, with chasing the planes and that, it's just beautiful. You don't really find it annoying or anything, or any kind of, if anything, it's more helpful. Another big point with this is how efficient it is. Not just flight time, but flight time for how fast you can actually fly with it. It's not that kind of agility that you have with a mini quad, but what it is the ability to maintain high speed, to maintain your momentum, and it's just sort of able to hang around there all day long and be really happy.
Is it also worth mentioning the fact that the benefit of being able to change that camera tilt on the fly? Because I haven't used it much. I usually just fly 50 degrees.
I didn't actually mention in my video, yeah.
You've actually done that so many times and been able to tweak that camera angle to achieve the correct, exactly. That's
so mainly I've been using this for chasing planes. I haven't used it much in the park because I find I'm doing more acro, and if I'm doing acro, Apex, race, quad, anything, it's all going to be more fun, right? More enjoyable. But for aircraft chasing, if you're flying, say, like a Piper Cub that's really slow, right? Then you can just bring that tilt right down to like almost zero and just sort of hang around putting along. If you want to get more top-down view, obviously you can adjust the tilt, whatever, however you like. But when you say chasing the EDF, all of a sudden I take off, I'm like, oh, okay, this perspective doesn't look right. And so I just adjusted the camera tilt on the fly and got it right. That's something that you just couldn't do with a normal quad. You won't even know what your actual tilt is, what you're looking at. With this, whatever you see is what you get, and that's been really, really handy. Even though the quality of this camera was probably as good a quality as a GoPro, I prefer the GoPro colors and the GoPro sort of clarity. And the compression
on the GoPro seems to be better too.
A little bit better.
And being able to do things like real steady, all those. So if I had to do a proper shoot, I'd probably be picking the GoPro
still
over this any day.
Yeah. However, if you have just one shot at getting something,
it comes back to what you said about the camera you've got on hand, and this is the camera you've got on hand. As long as that battery's charged, it means your HD camera is still fully functional. Whereas you could have batteries say charged for your Apex, but your GoPro might not be charged. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've even had it before where I've had an insect hit my camera while I'm flying, my GoPro, and I haven't even known. I've been flying for the whole time with the insect on it, instead of having the chance to actually, you know, with this, I mean, I haven't had it yet, thankfully, but if something did hit the lens,
you would see it.
I'd see it, I'd be able to land, fix it up, keep going. It just means you're wasting less time, wasting less batteries. A lot of the time actually just for securing shots. That's the thing, there's a lot of opportunities in the last 4 weeks that I would have totally missed getting any video that this has actually allowed me to get. Even if it's not as good as it potentially could have been, this is, at the end of the day, guaranteed I've gotten it versus not at all. On the note of the technology of this thing, it's not that any of it is necessarily new. It's just that the configuration that they've put it all in and how much they've been able to pack into this one thing, from the aerodynamic tech-wise through to all of your sensors and return to home and augmented reality stuff, having it all in the one package has been so beautifully integrated. And I don't think that's something that you're just going to be able to do if it's not one complete package. Totally unrelated, I love 4K. I know the GoPros have it too. I'm using 4K for my GoPros too now, but 4K is really good.
We haven't tried the slow motion on it. It's probably something we've got to try out next.
Yeah, it's just 4K is nice. nice.
It is nice.
And for all the plane chasing, you don't really need 120 FPS. The 60 FPS 4K slowdown to 30 FPS is really nice.
It would be good for specific applications, say doing a motorbike over a jump or something like that. But then again, if we did that, if we're doing a proper shoot, we'd probably still take the Apexes, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think for that stuff, we want the more agility. Because this still, it doesn't do the real snappy stuff. I mean, I'm sure you could probably play with the rates. People are asking me what my settings are that I put into this. I haven't. It's just
completely stock, isn't it?
Obviously, we've turned off all the safety so we get the full manual mode. But we haven't played with rates. I don't think there's PIDs in it. I think it's just rates. I literally haven't touched it.
People talk about tuning it, but you're not tuning anything.
Yeah, you're just playing with rates. If I had to guess what I would do, I mean, probably I'd halve the center stick rates and maybe increase the max rates to like 500-600. So, because I found a few times, especially with some planes with high roll rates, I can't really match their
You had that roll with the EDF, where you try to actually roll with that EDF, and you couldn't actually match his roll rate, which I know is probably an unfair comparison. You had to get the EDF to actually slow down.
Yeah, which probably does look better actually.
Yes.
But you'd sort of, if you're trying to do a bit more stylized flying, having the ability to do the sort of snap stop, where you sort of go, straight to a high rate, straight to a lower rate to get that real sort of cruisy, cinematic.
So you're not going to get that Mr. Steel sort of style of flying.
Yeah, he likes that, where you do the sort of, you really high speed movement and you slow it down. If you're doing a barrel roll, he might snap and then slow. I'm sure you could make this do it with the right settings, but I haven't really bothered playing with it. For me, it's just more, I'm still treating this as a flying camera, almost like a free cam from a video game. Yeah, this isn't durable. If you're gonna go crashing it into things or bumping into things, it's not gonna last.
This is not the quad.
But if you treat it as a flying camera, like you got your DSLR and you're putting it in the air.
Like if you're doing a video shoot, for a proper professional video shoot, you're carrying a red on a big...
Yeah, you're not going to go crashing that thing.
You're not
or at least hopefully not.
And if you do crash it, you're going to be basically blowing it, it's just... So some quads that you do fly, you generally don't... You go way to your way to make sure you don't crash.
Yeah.
This is one of those drones, correct?
Yeah, you treat it like you would treat your car, or... I mean, some people throw their phones on the floor, but generally, you do that, you end up with a cracked screen or something like that. Just treat it like it's a piece of... Treat it like it's your MacBook. If you treat it like this, it'll be okay. You fly within your limit, you'll be fine. You'll get some real breathtaking stuff. Like I said, we haven't crashed this. It's still fine. All the videos we've been doing have all been...
We don't even carry the spare props with us anymore. I keep leaving behind. I should probably have those with us, shouldn't I?
We should probably have them with us just in case. But it's one of those cases, it's a flying camera, just with a hell of a lot more performance than other flying cameras. Obviously, our Apexes and stuff are a different level again, but then you've lost all the, ability to go into... I was showing someone FPV, right? And I just gave them the goggles. I was flying line of sight. I just chucked into normal mode and flew with one stick. Like, that stuff... The cruise control, Nurk has a really good video where they were going out to an island. I think I actually commented on that one because I normally just watch his videos in the background, but that one was really good.
Nurk's done a few different videos on it too, which would be good if you want more details about testing. I think like Nurk's videos are good. I think
they've been sort of pushing it even range-wise.
iPhonedo's got a video, and I've got another photographer. I'll put a few links in the description of videos I would recommend watching, and you will just get different perspectives. Obviously, if you fly something like an Alien. With a GoPro, well, you're already set to go. You can do everything this thing can do and some, Well, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, it obviously depends on what setup too. That's the other thing too, when people say how's it compared to an Apex, is it HD, is it an analog, what motors, what props? I think this isn't for everyone for sure. And for most of us that I think watch our channel, this probably isn't the right thing for you guys.
But if the people that are getting into the hobby, because we've got a lot of people that do follow us, who do fly aircraft or fly something along the lines of Mavic or something like that, this is a perfect stepping stone, isn't it?
Yeah, and for anyone too that's maybe in the commercial business, right? And you need something off the shelf that just works. You can get something like this, and there's just so many different things you can do with it. Even a lot of stuff the Mavic can do, you can pull off with this too.
Yes. Okay, so the final part of this video, people have come to see this thing race against the JS1, battle.
Yes. Before you watch the battle, write down in the comments what you think's gonna happen. I think everyone knows how it's gonna go.
Which one's gonna win? What do you reckon?
Which one's gonna win?
And by how much? Is it gonna be like half a second faster per lap, or is it gonna be like
which one?
1 second slower? What do you think?
Yeah.
Before.
Keep in mind. Nothing to keep in mind. This was I had to keep in mind so many times then. This was one battery on this. To be fair, it's one long battery, but still one battery. And this was probably, I'm not sure which video you grabbed. You grabbed an early one, right? So
Earlier one, probably about battery 5 it would have been. We only did about 8 packs that day.
Yeah, we didn't do too many flights that day. It was a demo event too, so it's not the peak of any of these. There were seconds left in this, there were equally seconds left in this. And there were, for sure, entire seconds.
The only crashes you had with the JS1 was when you hit someone else, mid-air someone. So,
do you have that video? Are you going to upload it?
I probably do have that.
Okay, it might be at the end of this then.
So as far as the flight footage goes, both of them were flown relatively safely, and in my opinion, it was a fair comparison. Even though you did more packs on the JS1, the flight time on that thing is significantly higher.
Yeah. Also, I had the track to myself with it, so
you had no traffic at all. Well, no one knew.
Yeah, that's something too. If people are saying, should we race these? If someone wants to make an event and like pay for them all, for sure, it'd be really fun as a spec race thing. But if they're talking about doing it out of your own pocket,
you wouldn't race these.
No. If you're worried about durability of this like a car, I mean, if you turn your car into a wall at 100 kilometers an hour, it's going to break. It doesn't matter what anyone says, it's going to break.
One of your photographer friends, Liam, 70.
He'll be doing a video on repairing one.
He will be doing it. I will link that video. God, I'm going to have so many videos linked in this thing. It's going to be mind-boggling. It's probably going to take me longer to link all the videos, but I'll try and get his video into it too, because he actually crashed his. Do you know how he crashed it?
I think it'll be in his video. Okay. I can't remember. But just for a quick rundown of who he is, he's a photographer that started getting into FPV last year. I've sort of been helping him, showing him what simulators to use and all that. And he actually has a normal FPV drone like what we've got. And it was actually pretty funny when he first took this up and he was like, oh, it's not as agile as our normal ones.
So yeah.
So he's one of us for sure.
He's one of us for sure. Like he can fly a proper drone. His first drone flight was 100% successful, because he spent enough time on
He's very methodical.
Very methodical about what he does. But yeah, he broke his arm on his one, and that's going to be getting repaired. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. If the repair video is done and there's a follow-up on it, I will link that in the description too, which I don't think it will be at this stage. But if it is, I will actually link it. Anything else we want to cover on this? I think we've covered everything, isn't it?
That's it.
If you've got any questions that you want answered, by all means, put them in the description. At no point are we saying that this is a super durable drone. At no point are we saying this is the best drone ever, or it's the worst drone ever, or it's the fastest drone ever, or the slowest drone ever. It sits somewhere in the middle.
Yes, it does a bit of everything. Some things really well, some things less well. Technically, you could race it, not that I would ever recommend it. Okay, so now we'll cut to the video finally that you guys have been waiting for, the DJI FPV combo versus the JS1.
It's going to be close, really close. Enjoy, guys.